Growing up without a parent. Life doesn't always go the way we imagine. Sometimes it changes before we even understand what is happening. This is my story, a story of growing up without my mom and learning how to survive when the person you need the most is no longer there. I was only 6 years old when my life quietly fell apart. There was no big goodbye, no explanation I could understand. One day my mom was there, and then she wasn't. At that age, you don't know words like abandonment or loss. You only know that something feels wrong. You only know that the house feels colder, quieter, and strangely empty. My father tried his best. I will always respect him for that. He worked long hours every single day, coming home tired, stressed, and silent. He had responsibilities he never asked for. But no matter how hard he worked, he couldn't be in two places at once. Most days, I came home from school to an empty house. No warm voice asking about my day, no hug, no food waiting on the table. That's when I started growing up too fast. I learned how to cook simple meals even though I was barely tall enough to reach the stove. I learned how to clean, how to take care of myself, and most importantly, how to hide my feelings. At night, when the lights were off and the house was silent, I would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering what I did wrong. I kept asking myself why my mom didn't stay. Was I not good enough? Was I not worth loving? Some nights I cried quietly so my little brother wouldn't hear me. He was younger than me, and I felt like it was my job to protect him. I wanted to be strong for him even when I was breaking inside. I hugged him when he was scared. I told him stories when he missed her. I promised him that everything would be okay, even though I wasn't sure myself. School was another kind of struggle. Other kids talked about their moms, how they packed their lunches, helped with homework, and came to school events. Teachers asked questions that made my chest feel heavy. "Where is your mother?" they would say, without knowing how painful that question was. I learned to smile and give short answers. I learned how to pretend I was fine. But inside, I felt different. I felt invisible. I felt like no one really understood me. Birthdays came and went without celebration, no parties, no candles, no happy photos. While other kids laughed and played, I focused on surviving. I told myself that life wasn't fair and maybe it never would be. But giving up wasn't an option. Someone depended on me. By the time I was 13, I wasn't just a child anymore. I was a caretaker. I helped my brother with homework. I cooked meals after school. I made sure he felt safe, even when I felt lost. Slowly, without realizing it, I became the person I once needed. Books became my escape. When the real world felt too heavy, stories gave me hope. I read about heroes who came from nothing, who faced pain and loss, and still chose to stand up. Those stories taught me something important, that strength doesn't mean you never cry. Strength means you keep going even when you're tired of being strong. I started valuing the smallest moments. A warm meal after a long day, a shared laugh with my brother, a quiet moment of peace. These little things became my happiness. I learned that joy doesn't always come in big moments. Sometimes it hides in the simplest ones. Growing up without my mom was the hardest thing I ever faced. It left scars I still carry. There are moments when I still wish she were there to see who I've become, to tell me she's proud of me. But I also understand something now that I didn't back then. Pain changes you. It can break you, or it can build you. I chose to let it build me. Life taught me responsibility at a young age. It taught me empathy, patience, and resilience. It taught me how to love deeply, even when love once hurt me. I learned that even when someone leaves, their absence can shape you into someone stronger. Today, I don't see myself as a victim of my past. I see myself as a survivor. I see someone who stood up when life pushed them down. Someone who learned to love themselves when no one else did. To anyone listening who feels alone, your pain is real. Your struggles matter. Growing up without a parent leaves a hole in your heart, but that hole doesn't define you. One day, you will look back and realize that everything you survived made you stronger, braver, and more capable than you ever imagined. Even when the people we love aren't there, we can still create love. We can become the support we once needed. We can become the hero of our own story. This was my story, growing up without my mom. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fair. But it taught me courage, resilience, and the power of self-love. And sometimes that is enough to keep going.